10 o'clock to noon at the Vern Burton Center. And the tickets for PABA members, because we're a member of the World Associate, is $20. And we sent out a note to all the members, well, we'll send it out again this week, just to tell people that it's coming up. It sounds like a great thing. He's going to talk about leadership. He has a new book out and such. As you recall, too, this group has been working with the West End Business and Professional Association on various different issues, one of which has been the rehabilitation of U.S. Highway 101 around Lake Crescent. And there were some hearings last Monday and Tuesday here in Port Angeles, Tuesday in the Forks, on that program, and actually it went really well. The Park Service actually stepped back quite a bit from their original plan to close the road for a long time to work on it. Instead, they're going to stretch out their construction thing over about a 3-year period. They're going to do more at night, and they're now committed to alternative lane things. So you can always get through. There'll be some brief shortages. They haven't issued their final plans and timeline for this, but that's expected probably in September. But anyway, it was a much friendlier meeting, I was told. I wasn't here for it, but we had several other people who went to it. And everybody in Forks and in Port Angeles felt a lot more confident that the 101 thing was going to come off pretty well. It was a front page story today about our speaker today, Bob Larsen, and it says Composite Center CEO, summer opening is expected in Port Angeles. It's all over there, everywhere. And also, yesterday I got a note, press release from the ranking member of the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee, U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell. And she talked about it too. It says, she talked about advanced stuff, and so she said, another example of advanced manufacturing in action is the Port of Port Angeles, which has been working on new methods to recycle scraps of carbon fiber waste from the manufacturing processes into new composites. These advanced carbon fiber composites are used in the aerospace, automotive, and energy sections. Recycling carbon fiber reuses scrap destined for landfill and provides significant energy savings. In fact, manufacturing recycled carbon fiber uses only 1/10 of the energy needed to manufacture new carbon fiber. This emerging market is why the Port of Port Angeles is retooling their facilities and their workforce. Obviously, to tell us a lot more, Bob Larsen, the CEO of the Composite.
All right, this is great. I like the freedom of walking around a little and looking more at you. Thank you for your kind invitation. Thanks for all the announcements and introductions. I want to start off by noting that I know it's traditional for a speaker to say, I'm glad to be here with you today, and in my case it's kind of more than that. I've been looking forward to this day for about 9 months now. I got involved in this project last summer in July, and it began as just a very simple, are you interested in this? We're trying to do something. Maybe your background's really suited to this. Maybe you might want to help. Maybe you might want to be in the board of directors. Maybe you want to do this. So the more I looked into this project, the more I got involved, the more excited and committed I became. So this is the first public reveal of the CRTC. Yes, we've done some reporting in front of our colleagues and our benefactors at the port, but this is the first time we've really come to the point where we can start explaining our future and why we're doing this. And I have become so passionate about this that, you know, I've been working 1,600 hours, put in more than 1,600 hours in this project with no compensation. I'm so committed to make this work, and I think it's so important for our community and actually for the world at large. So let me just start from this perspective. I think it's really important for people to understand what our values are, where we're coming from and why it's important. So we want to create a culture that is exciting and dynamic and based on economic development for this community. So you know the CRTC is a nonprofit corporation, and our mission really is to promote economic development for Clallam County. That's our purpose. We have no shareholders. We have nobody we're beholden to, but we're focused on doing what's right for this community. We are committed to environmental responsibility and sustainability. That's part of our DNA. We're creating an organization where creativity is cultivated and flourishes. And that will extend to involving many other parts of our community into the CRTC, including the artistic community. It's important that you understand the breadth of what we're doing here. We are dedicated to collaborate with industry, educational institutions, and the public sector. In this day and age, collaboration is a way of life, and it's essential for anything to succeed. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. We want to attract new companies to this region by being a trusted and desirable partner, and we're well on our way to doing that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We have a passion for excellence. We want to exceed expectations with integrity and transparency. And, of course, we are committed to financial responsibility and sustainability. So, as I go through this presentation, I hope you'll find things that surprise and delight you. Because there's a lot more to the CRTC than you think there is. I may be going a little bit out on the proverbial limb, but the CRTC is part of what I'm calling the new industrial revolution. It's really important to understand and put this into context. So if the Internet of Things is the Industrial Revolution 4.0, the CRTC and the organizations like it are really part of the next industrial revolution. What do I mean by that? It is obvious. It is obvious that the world economy is in the midst of massive changes. Right? Globalization. Right? Automation in McDonald's. Right? Saudi Arabia declaring itself addicted to oil and moving away from oil. What, are you kidding me? Offshoring jobs. You just go down the list and look around us and things are changing, they're changing fast. So, it is, and part of the thing that's driving that is we are starting to respond, at least we recognize we have to respond to urgent energy, environmental, and resource constraints at the same time as providing income, growth, jobs, and a future for our expanding population. So just point out, this is just like Friday, right? 170 nations signed the Paris Climate Agreement. That is a massive change, and we can talk on a separately thing. Is that enough? Is what they're saying is enough? Can we even do what people signed up for? Whatever is support for that? But I think the vision of it is symbolized in this photo right here. This is our Secretary of State with his granddaughter on his lap, saying, "We've got to find a way to be sustainable in the future." So, probably the biggest takeaway from this talk is this board right here. We're establishing a world-leading, technology-driven, non-profit enterprise that's addressing these challenges. And it's happening right here in Port Angeles. So I'm going to ask Sherry, if we can put that We Love Port Angeles thing on our webpage, because
Oh,
we
my
certainly
pleasure.
want to do it, okay?
My
So
pleasure.
it's funny, when I was doing this presentation, when I was writing this bullet, you know, the Music Man popped in my head. I'm looking around and, you know, we're all about the same age, but, you know, 76, trombones, that big. So the whole thing about that, it was right here in River City. We're going to have a world-class thing. We're going to do it right here in River City. Well, I'm telling you, we are doing something that's going to change the world, and it's happening right here in Port Angeles. Here's another way of looking at it. CRTC embraces a quadruple bottom line philosophy. Whoa, what the heck does that mean? Well, of course, everyone knows that business is based on the bottom line, right? What are you making this quarter? What are your financials? What things? And certainly, CRTC as an enterprise is going to be making earnings. You know, we normally say profits, but since we're not for profit, we're saying earnings. So are we going to be making money? We're going to be making a lot of money. So that's important, because that means sustainability and that we're a real organization. But you know what? In most places, that's where things end. But that, you know, that kind of solution is not adequate for our reality anymore. Our second bottom line is how we do it on the environmental area scorecard. There are massive energy and carbon savings from this project. So here's a little factoid for you. Every pound of carbon fiber repurposed by the CRTC saves about 80 kilowatt hours of electricity. That's enough to run your house. I don't know about your house, but in my house it's like 2 or 3 days. And it displaces over 100 pounds of CO2. It's for every pound. Just want to mention that our goal is by year 6 we'll be displacing over 1 million pounds. That is moving the needle in a big way. The third bottom line is educational. You know, we're partnered with Peninsula College, and we're very proud to be sharing our building and integrating our program. So part of the vision is to train people to work in this industry and people with the skills to go on and apply composite material technology in other places. So, you know, we expect, working with our colleagues at Peninsula College, we'll be training about 30 people a year, maybe even a semester, coming out of the program that's co-located with us. That's very important, and that will help the community grow. And in fact, to be honest with you, we're going to kind of cherry pick the very best people coming on that program. We're going to work in our facility. But it doesn't end there. We have a very significant, important research and development, engineering-driven component to this company. And we've already established multiple relationships with educational institutions. Washington State University is the one that we've announced, but there are at least 3 more in the works. And we will be providing locations for graduate students to come and work with us, for professors to come and do research, and even for industry to send people to work with us. So this is all part of this kind of collaborative approach to addressing some of these technical issues and applying what we learn about reuse of this material to a whole range of products. So what's the fourth bottom line? The fourth bottom line is community investment. So I want you to know that we're going to be offering vouchers to every one of our employees, starting out at $500 each, that they can direct that money to any charity, church, nonprofit organization they want to, in the name of the CRTC every year. And not only that, my goal is to take 10% of our earnings and reinvest them directly into the institutions to this community. And that is there's a very wide range of those, and that actually includes working with our public school system to help improve that. So as this company grows and as we make money, there will be an opportunity for major reinvestment along a multitude of fronts. And you know, as the time comes closer, we'll be able to talk more about that and dream and plan and work with all of you to figure out what makes sense to do. So, what does this all mean, and what do I mean that, you know, what the heck is the fourth sector? So let's think about this. Traditionally, we think about the way our organizations are structured in this community by thinking about, well, we've got private sector, that's up here. This is just a simple two-dimensional plot. Along the top here is, what is the purpose of the organization? Maximize benefits to owners on this end, and maximize social benefit on this end, right? So the private sector is up here. The governmental sector, the public sector is down here. Maximize social benefits, but as far as income goes, this is earned income and this is contributed income, or one would say taxes. Yeah? So, and then there's the nonprofit sector, which is kind of around here. So we have these kind of three sectors: private, public, nonprofit. But there's this emerging fourth sector, which kind of blends the attributes of both, seeks to address some of the issues that the simply for-profit sector has created, and I don't have to list those for you. I think you know what they are. So there's this emerging fourth sector, which is kind of a hybrid of these organizations. And you know, you look right in here, it says nonprofit enterprises right there. That's what the CRTC is. So let's just talk about, why is the CRTC so exciting? What are we doing? Well, I can say our business case is real, it's solid, it's attractive. So let's start off by thinking about this material, okay? Carbon fiber is engineered man-made material. It was designed to give outstanding properties principally for defense reasons and space reasons. So, and I brought a couple of little handouts here in case you've never seen these. Most of you have. This is, I'm going to pass this around. This is just a little I-beam that was made by our colleagues at Peninsula College. And this is made out of recycled carbon fiber. And if you actually look at it, you can actually see the little chunks of it in there. But this thing weighs about 2 ounces. It'll support 6,000 pounds. The way that students test it is they go out in the parking lot and they take their pickup trucks and they drive over it.
Nice.
So, shall we go and start this one? And here's this is another final one. This is another very interesting little piece that was made by a very smart PC student who took 6 layers of carbon fiber, of recycled carbon fiber, and just took some. I guess this looks like maple. I guess could be. Anyway. And they just kind of co-pressed it in a little machine that actually laminated the wood to the carbon fiber. So if this doesn't get your mind thinking about, oh my gosh, can we make amazing furniture with this stuff? I don't know what will. But this, and again, this is so light and it's a little flexible now because you know the great thing is you can design this material to do anything you want. This is amazing stuff, right? So if we put a little piece of carbon fiber that bridges this gap, you could easily stand on this. You could jump up and out of this all day and you'd be fine. Let's start this going to the other side. But you have to understand, this is a miraculous material. 5 times stronger than steel, and and 75% lighter than steel. That's why they make airplanes and rockets out of it. Yeah? So we're going to be taking the scrap from aerospace production and diverting it from a landfill, and it's obviously a very low-cost source of material. You know, we basically saying we can make these carbon fibers things about 25% of the cost, or maybe less, than you could from virgin material. That opens up massive new markets and new applications for this material. So we know that there's more than 2 million pounds of carbon fiber available in Washington alone. There's about 25 million in the nation. And we also know that the volume is going to double in the next couple of years. So there's going to be no shortage of supply. That's important to understand. So what is the vision of our company? We're going to develop a bunch of innovative products that's going to use this amazing material, and we're going to show what can be made from recycling or repurposing carbon fiber. Our mission, lead and grow this industry, this world-leading industry, to benefit Clallam County. We're setting up a flexible manufacturing capability to make many kinds of products. This is not something like an automotive assembly line where you just make a car or something like this. You can mold this stuff into almost any shape that you want. And again, the low cost feedstock enables us to do a myriad of products. It's basically limited to our imagination, our marketing, and you know, our selection criteria obviously has to be based on earnings also. So, the other thing you need to know is right now we are laser focused on starting production in October. When you think about it, this building, well, I'll get to the building in a second, but this is a remarkable and fast pace, and we are committed to hit these timelines. Okay, so where is this? Most of you, many of you know, maybe some of you don't know where this facility is. So we're located on the Port's Composite Manufacturing Campus. You can see the runway there. The 2220 building is this building right here, and this was up until January just a shell with a dirt floor. And it's being rapidly transformed into a production space. I'd also like to point out this building. This is the MTIB building, or multi-tenant industrial building. And with the Port's help, we've taken over this little end of it here, and that's where our product development is happening right now while our building is being built. So even as we speak, we're moving forward on the development of our first product. So people often ask where the money for this stuff. So this little, we call this our pillars diagram, this kind of explains where the funding came from. The blue part here, this is from the Port. The green kind of represents our CRTC part of it. But the key thing is that the funding for transforming the building into our production space and also for Peninsula College was supported by the federal government, the state government, and from the Opportunity Fund, Clallam County. In addition, the Port added $300,000 to upgrade the energy efficiency and the sustainability of the building by adding solar PV and also solar thermal water production. So hats off to them for taking the extra investment to make this building much more energy efficient in the future. And as far as actual CRTC, our seed money and support comes from this part here. This is, we have an economic agreement with the Port of Port Angeles for economic development services. We have $1.35 million in actual cash. That's our total funding to our startup. And we have the balance in kind support, which includes some money for staff, includes some architectural design services, and so forth and so on. We are waiting for notice from the state for a grant for our production equipment. We are able to use the money the port has made available to us, both in cash and in kind, to leverage that for production equipment. And that is the key that will enable us to move ahead. And we keep saying any day now we'll be hearing about that. So I hope you'll see yet another article in the paper saying CRTC is awarded X amount of dollars from the state for our production equipment. So when you think about the CRTC, please keep in mind we are thinking in the future. We have these 3 phases of development. So this year and next year is the launch, the startup phase. We're launching production. We are beginning sales this fall, and the key there is actually to achieve financial sustainability. The next phase, we call expansion phase, is when we greatly expand our production capability. So this is where we get into multiple products. We will either spin off companies or we'll set up new divisions, and we will broaden the market. And we will be looking for more manufacturing facilities, and there's a variety of strategies to do that already in the planning. And the growth phase is where we get into the orders of $1 million to over 1 million pounds of carbon fiber. And that's in the 2020 and maybe and beyond. I'm just saying beyond. So just a quick little update on where we are in this 22-20 building construction. You know, in January, it looked like this: big trenches in the floor, and just, you know, it's a big building with just a dirt floor, and this is where they're putting in utilities and so forth. And when that was a massive concrete pour, and they poured 25,000 square feet of concrete in like 2 days. It's incredible deal. So that's moving along really well. So it's amazing to think within 6 months this building will be completely finished and set up and ready for us to move in. You can see here a little bit of the progress of going inside, what's happening inside, and I'm told now that not only are all the studs up, but all the drywall's up, and it's being painted, and they're working hard on getting the rest of the utilities in, and we're in good shape with that. So we're planning for a July 5th move-in, and that should be pretty exciting. And so here's kind of the arc of where we see we're going for the rest of this year. As you know, we made some substantial changes in our board structure. We added 2 great members to our board. Just want to call them out because both of them bring really important, good talents to us. This smaller picture is of Dave Walter. He is an outstanding business leader, management consultant, 34 years with DuPont, and just an amazing resource for us. He is now the new board president. He's been instrumental in helping us drive our business towards excellence. This is Dr. Ray Grove, 35 years at Boeing. He ran the materials development program for Boeing, including the carbon fiber, and moved the carbon fiber and the carbon fiber recycling. He's the head of the technical advisory committee and brings a bunch of connections and experience. And then there's a little dark picture of me. I guess I'm going to have another little headshot done, but anyway. I was officially named the permanent CEO in April. I've been acting as an interim basis since the beginning of the year. I'm very grateful that the board has expressed its confidence in me to lead this organization, at least for the next few years. As you know, on Friday we announced this supply agreement with Toray Composites of America. Toray is a major, and I think they're just about the largest producer of carbon fiber material in the world. And that is a tremendously important development for us. Not only does it ensure our supply, but people don't realize there's a very substantial collaboration in developing materials, new materials and markets, and working on the R&D side. So that's very important. So we're moving into the building first part of July. By then we'll have about 7 employees. The ribbon cutting, which is in the paper this morning, they beat me to the punch. About the 5th of August, and it's a little up in the air because we're inviting several senators, the governor, all our elected representatives, as well as CEOs from the major composite manufacturers in the world coming here. And of course, the schedules of the political folks, as you know, they're hard to pin down, let's just say that. So the first part of August, that's going to be a really important date for us, and there'll be lots of dignitaries and leaders in this town, coming to this town, and we want to make sure we show them a really good time and how great Port Angeles is. And of course, start of production October 1, probably around a dozen employees from the 4th quarter to the end of the year. We hope, plan that by the end of 2017, that number will be doubled. Just want to mention this relationship, and it's maybe a little abstract to you guys. And this is with an organization we called IACME, or at least that's what we call it. It's got a rather unfortunate name. Institute for Advanced Composite Manufacturing Innovation. Actually, this is the organization that Senator Cantwell mentioned in her press release that John talked about earlier. This is really a very important linkage for us. It is the National Institute for working with advanced composites and driving the cost of carbon fiber down. The whole goal of IACME is to make carbon fiber, or I should say composite, so inexpensive they can compete with aluminum and steel in automotive applications. That is probably taking the cost of carbon fiber down by at least an order of magnitude, maybe 20 times. It's a huge initiative. It's got a big budget. There's $70 million invested over 5 years from the federal government, and 5 states in the Midwest have pumped in $140 million to make this thing work. The thing that you need to understand is recycling is a major part of this institute. Everyone realizes that until we solve this problem of recycling, the industry can't grow. So the fact that we were so warmly received and we are going to be a major part of this institute is a big testimony for the viability of this company. Our technical lead, Jeffrey Wood, was invited to lead the road mapping for the recycling program plan for IACME. That sounds kind of abstract and bureaucratic, but basically that is setting the development budget priorities for the next 5 years in the recycling area, and our VP of Innovation was the person who actually drove that process. So that is another testament to our company. And of course, the opportunity to access research funding and critical industry partnerships and grow that part of our business is unparalleled with this institute. So this is a big deal. I'm just going to say a word about this because you probably heard in the press that we took a boondoggle trip to Paris, France. But you know what? It wasn't a boondoggle at all. It was an incredibly important step for us. It put us on the map, on the international scene, at the JEC World Composites Trade Show. And, you know, those words don't really convey the magnitude of this event. There were 35,000 people there. There were 1,500 exhibitors. It filled 2 giant exhibition halls. It took days to walk through the place, really, literally. But everybody who's anybody in the world of composites was at that show. We met with the CEOs of the world's largest carbon fiber producers. We inked 7 new non-disclosure agreements, which indicates a serious business relationship is under discussion. We deepened the relationship with a cured carbon fiber recycler who is potentially co-locating with us here in Port Angeles that we're trying to attract to join us. And we, so this thing was a total home run, and actually 3 days of wandering around that show for 10 hours a day. This was no boondoggle. This was a lot of hard work, but very, very worthwhile. The bottom line is CRTC, we confirmed that we are in a leadership position in recycling carbon fiber pre-preg in the world. We are the cutting edge.
I'm going to cut in just a minute.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we extend the meeting up to 15
We have a
minutes.
second.
by
Second.
bylaws.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Thank you, I'm almost done. Thank you. So, another point I want you to take away is we're on target to accomplish the goals we set out in our strategic plan, which we released in December. This is our roadmap to success. It lays out what we're doing in detail the first 2 years and then sets out the vision of where we're going after that. Again, we are completely dedicated and focused to starting production in October, and we are really kind of keeping our head down and burrowing in kind of to make sure this happens. What you need to know is 6 months after we start production, we're going to be making money. We're going to cross over to profitability within 6 months. We're already starting to look for expansion capital because we know by the end of 2017 we'll be rolling and we'll have a number of products in queue that we want to get out to the market that's going to take more capacity than we have. We are totally committed to be self-sufficient by the end of 2017, and I hope by then we can invest some money back into this community. That's the plan. And again, by 2018, we'll definitely need some more production capacity, and there's a number of pathways to do that. So we have a pretty fast ramp up and take off, so I hope you will be able to support us and watch us grow. So I'm going to finish with these core beliefs. We have a very strong board and we've got a great leadership team. And I'm proud to say, that I'm part of that team. We are on track with our plans. We have done an unbelievable amount of work since September when we started with nothing. There is significant industry interest and belief in what we're doing and support. This is a huge opportunity. We have every confidence that what we're doing is going to be replicated in many places around the country and around the world. In fact, we've already been approached to do versions of what we're doing in other places. We're still standing on our feet, so we're not ready for that, but we know that this is a massive opportunity. Right? We have a lot to do, and that's for darn sure. We are, we're actually hiring our first employee. It's coming on board next week. So do we have a lot to do? You bet we do, but we are dedicated to make this work, and we're going to win. We're going to make this thing work. And finally, our future is bright, and so is the future of Port Angeles. With you, we're going to remake the image of this town and inject it with energy and vision, and we're gonna make this place a vibrant and wonderful place to be. So with that, I'm going to stop and take some questions. Let's start with the gentleman in the corner, sir.
Thank you. I'm a longtime supporter of CRTC, and I really have just one question. For quite some time, we've been looking for a set of financials, return on investment numbers, the kinds of things we can compare. You're talking about 6 months to profitability, but there were no numbers there that we could look at inputs and outputs, and then in 6 months, see you again. when can we expect to see some sort of pro forma financials projecting out into the future that we can then compare in the future? Do you understand what I'm looking for?
I do, but I'm a little mystified of why you think we'll be able and want to do that.
Why not? Well, because that's how we measure that from a numbers perspective, from a financial perspective, that's how we measure success. We know this is what we projected to do, and this is what, we don't keep putting money into something that we say we're going to be, and a lot of interim measures. We need to have those. When you walk into a bank and you're a business, you have to have a business plan and a set of financials. And this essentially, we are the bank here in the county. And I'm looking for that kind of numbers base that we can compare. I'm not trying to criticize. I'm a believer.
Yeah.
Okay, but right now I can't measure today into the future what you say today. And if you come back in a year and say the same things, I have no way of knowing whether we've made progress or not.
When the time is right, we will be, we're committed to transparency, so those numbers will be available. Just understand, we haven't even revealed what our product's going to be, our first product, and what the next products are. We have a very measured cadence to when we'll be releasing information. It's driven by what the market demands, what our competition is doing, and so I understand that, but I can assure you that once we start selling products in October, we'll immediately, our financials will look really good in the short term. And of course, my job is to measure or to manage the cash, and I can tell you it's sobering to look at the amount of money going out in July, August, and September before we start turn the switch on. So I'm on top of that, and you will know when we're in a position to really let that out. It's just too premature, really. Again, I want you guys to understand how visionary and how brave and how important the support of the Port of Port Angeles is. They have provided our seed money, and when you're starting up a major international company with the limited resources we have, it's really going to be amazing to see what we're going to do with a little bit of money. But you'll be happy with what I show you in the future. Sir.
Two questions. One is, how does the recycled product compare to virgin product in terms of strength and other technical characteristics? And the second one is barriers of entry. If you're fabulously successful in 2 years, what is to stop somebody from just replicating your factory in the I-5 corridor or more centrally located in the state with lesser costs of transportation and compete successfully with you based on those lower transportation costs?
Yep. Very excellent questions. So the first one is pretty straightforward. The multiple studies by carbon fiber manufacturers and actual users say that the recycled material retains somewhere between 80 and 90% of its original strength. So this material is more than adequate for the kinds of products that we're going to be making initially. And these are kind of consumer products, right? They're nothing. We're not going. These parts will never go into airplanes again. But the material is more than adequate for many applications. So yeah, so that's a very good question. And actually, the material we're getting from Torrey is some of the very best in the world, and it has spectacular properties. So that's good. Now the replication question. In fact, part of our business plan is actually to help people replicate this. We're actually going to be selling the machineries and the process that we develop here, as well as the design and manufacturing processes as part of as kind of another division of our business. And it remains, we'll have to figure out whether we would like to set up other parts of CRTC in other places, or see what happens. In fact, one of the reasons we're not revealing what our product is that other people could, in fact, figure out what we're doing and try to replicate what we're doing. So we're managing that pretty carefully. But I'd like to also address this issue of the transportation costs. Lower transportation costs will in no way compensate for the lower costs of doing business here. That's one of the attractions of Port Angeles, right? So and here's another question people have been bugging me about. They say, well, you're going to be bringing in all this recycled material. Isn't that just going to clog the roads and stuff? What about the transportation costs? Well, I can tell you at the maximum capacity of our building, 6 semi-trucks a month is all it's going to take to get that material up here, right? So transportation costs are actually such a small part of the overall equation that they're almost negligible. What we have here is low cost of land. We have the great advantage of having our landlord, have this building at relatively low cost, and we can, our rent's cheap. Labor costs are relatively less expensive here. So I mean, there's all those advantages that outweigh that. So is that,
Thank you.
Kai, does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to go over here and then come back. Okay? Yes, Edna.
Your dream customer. Well, that really hit below the belt, didn't it?
I'm just looking around here. Who would be typical for our customer? Well,
No, I'm really serious after the joke. Who out would be the dream customer, the dream person that in the long run you want to target? Because there's always a stepping stone to that person.
yeah.
Lawnmowers?
The range of applications are so large here, it's hard to really even say that. I can say the first product will be in the lifestyle area, and it'll be people who are active outdoors and are interested in cutting edge stuff, and also people who want to support an emerging green industry. In the long run, not even the longer run, the kind of the midterm, we're looking at moving into building materials. We're looking into blending carbon fiber with wood. We're looking into making industrial productions. We're looking into making watch cases, eyeglass frames, anything you can think that lightweight, strong material will be good at is potential. And just say just one more thing. We've got a big spreadsheet we started that helps us analyze all our product opportunities, right? There are 200 products on that list. Every one of them has a good business case. So the question for us is like, okay, now what are we doing next, and who's the target, and how we're going to market it, and what's our position in the market? If we come in, I'll just say this first product, okay? And we're not ready to say it for other competitive reasons. Okay? This product will have class-leading performance. This material is so good, this product will be lighter, stronger, better than anything on the market. And oh, by the way, did I mention that it's going to be sold for like 2/3 the price? We are going to kick butt in this marketplace. And to be honest with you, the thing that I'm really most concerned about, and maybe call me a delusional dreamer, is the fact that we won't have enough production capacity to meet demand. That's what I'm really worried about, which is why it's really important to get that CEF2 money, because oh man, if we get all that money, this thing's gonna take off like a rocket ship. Yes, ma'am.
Following on the product discussion and what Kai had to say about transportation costs, what about getting product to market? Is that another? Are there advantages, or if you make stuff here, how do you get it to market?
Yeah, I think UPS is going to have a big jump in business. It kind of depends on how things are going. But one thing you ought to be thinking about. So if you make this product with this lightweight material, just how heavy do you think these products are going to be? The whole thing with all the packaging and all that stuff is going to be less than a pound. So yes, we plan to ship out thousands of parts a week in a couple of years. Okay, so let's say thousands of pounds times a pound. Gosh, 1 or 2 trucks, maybe, yeah.
So like backhaul, perhaps, from bringing the scrap out?
Yeah, that's a little deeper into the transportation thing than we really thought. I don't think we're going to actually worry too much about that in the beginning. We're just going to have UPS haul it out, send it to customers. Sir?
Yeah, that your financing seems to be predominantly government setup costs, et cetera,
For the moment.
instead of looking at the marketplace. This product is a great product. Why are we not getting capital investments in, instead of looking to government to finance this program?
Yep. Okay, so launching this venture, first in the world, cutting edge, it is, there's no really private equity that's really set up to handle it very well. That's why we're doing government first. Yeah? But when I talked about we're already looking for money to expand, we have already been talking to a variety of private sector financial institutions and groups, and the bulk of the money going forward will be private sector money, because I can tell you the return on these products is going to be very attractive. So, agreed. I think this is, setting up these kind of cutting edge, rather, one would say, risky in the traditional sense, businesses is an appropriate role for government, but it's only to get them jump-started. I agree with you. We're going to attract a lot of money, and there are going to be big corporations knocking on our doors to collaborate with us, to do joint ventures with us, to invest in us, because this is a critical issue for their industries, and we are providing a very viable way to deal with it. So that's one over here, and then we'll come back. Yes, sir.
First of all, I got to commend you on your enthusiasm. Keep it up. And secondly, I want to know who's doing all your construction work.
Well, if you would talk to our colleagues at the Port of Port Angeles, they are totally involved with that. And our plan is to work closely with the port in the future. But I don't know, things could change. We could possibly be enticed to build something somewhere else. But that's getting way ahead of us. That's the cart way in front of the horse right now.
John,
Commissioner Bouvet.
So the port really, as you all recall, was the real instigator in this, and really in order to keep things proprietarily safe, we helped form the 501(c) so that those proprietary things could stay where they need to be. We are very invested in this project in the public's name. We are very excited about it and very energized about it. Yes, we know there's still a risk, but won't it be terrible if the problem that we have is not enough workforce for these living wage jobs that are going to be provided? And of course, Peninsula College is helping us with this, and I'm pushing all I can. And we're also setting up a joint meeting with EDC, and one of the things I've really pushed on is getting a list of available industrial and retail buildings available in the county, because that's going to be the next problem, is space. And so when you're out in Forks, I hope that the city there will take you around the available buildings out there. But there's so many things that can be done with this. I'm sure it is difficult to have a narrow focus, because there's so much that can be done. And it will be exciting to be the forerunner in this, and yes, to have others replicate what we're doing, and it'll be important for us to stay half a step ahead, and that's what the plan is. And we couldn't have better leadership to take us through this.
Thank you, Connie. So are we out of time?
We're out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time. So, sir, if you want to just talk to me in a minute, I'll be happy to answer your question.
Thank you very much.
All right, you guys done? All right, thanks.
You'll be around for a while. Exciting thing. Our speaker next Tuesday will be Steve Theringer, speaking about the legislature and what's coming up, and what's happened and such like that. Anyway, welcome to our new member over there, Randall Frank.